Alright guys, hello and welcome back to another episode of the Exos Heroes Champion Spotlight. So today we'll take a look at Xiakhan. So Xiakhan is a fated hero, fated defense, so he's gonna be in the front row, frost element, and does physical damage. So we'll talk a little bit about how we think Xiakhan is best utilized in the game, or frankly, this is probably one where Ed and I would be diverging a little bit, but to give you guys straight, in my opinion, Xiakhan is absolutely trash. But, there are situations where I would say he gets a little bit better, and we'll take a look at that. But for any one of you who are new to the game, who's looking for your first fated hero, if you get Xiakhan, just reroll it. There are way better options out there, trust us. So with that being said, let's take a look at the skills of Xiakhan and why I don't think he's that good.
Alright, so starting off, Xiakhan, like every other hero, has a basic attack. His does around 433 to 519 damage to a single target. You just saw it right there. His first active is Dragon's Anger, and this is a single target ability that does 300% damage to one enemy, and if you activate his Decimate passive, it guarantees a critical hit if the target is disheartened. His second active is Deluged Dragon, which is a back row first ability and deals 210% damage to all back row enemies. Again, with the Decimate passive, this will guarantee a critical hit if the target is disheartened. And we'll go ahead and watch him use this right here. His passive, relatively simple, it's just thrust 3, deals 30% damage and inflicts stun to the attacker upon taking damage for 5 turns, and when he's hit, he gains 1 mana if his target's health is above 80%, and he removes 1 mana from the target and gains 1 mana for himself if the target's health is 30% or less. And with that quick summary of his relatively basic kit, let's go into talking about how he can fit into your team and what he provides overall.
Okay, so like I said, I really do not think Xiakhan has a very strong kit. And one of the reasons for that is what he does with his skills doesn't really synergize well with what he can do and what he's supposed to do as a champion, right? If we look at his skill A1 as well as A2, right, it's more about doing damage, 300% damage to one single target. There's no utility that comes with it. It does no CC or anything like that. Same with his second skill, does 210% damage to all back row enemies. Again, not offering a lot other than doing some damage. But, people would look at this and say, okay, he gets guaranteed critical hit if the target is disheartened. But guys, you need Rachel to proc the disheartened status. And that's the issue is, for a lot of us who are new to the game, for a lot of us who are going to be low spenders or free-to-play players, we really don't want champions that require a certain synergy to be good. Because the chance of us getting all the synergies is relatively low. For the whales out there, of course, you can do this. But for many of us who are just playing this game for fun, who doesn't want to dump a lot of money into the game, it's very hard to always rely on synergies. And the fact that Xiakhan requires Rachel to do damage, it's just not that good. But at the same time, if we think about it, Xiakhan's overall stats is geared towards defense because he's a defense champion. So his base attack is relatively low, especially, compared to the premier attackers out there, the ones like Jane, the Rachel, Baraka. The fact that he has low damage means even though if he crits, it's probably not going to be as much damage as some of the other true attack or chaos type champion. So the fact that he's geared towards attack but has lower base attack, it just doesn't synergize well there either. So that's really the issue that we're having, is the fact that his kit is so dependent on the synergy to do damage. But at the same time, his true damage potential isn't that high because his type is a defense type champion. So that's really the biggest issue that I have with Xiakhan.
I mean, I totally agree. I think that Xiakhan's kit is just a little counterintuitive, right? Like you said, he's very crit reliant, and those crits even depend on synergies. So without Rachel, his damage is very low, and he doesn't really bring that much to the table. But I will say this. He has relatively low mana costs of 1 and 3, so he's going to be able to spam his abilities without relying on mana, especially with the use of his Thrust 3 passive. So, maybe the damage isn't as low as you might be making it out to be here. That having been said, I do agree, if you are a new player and you just happen to pull Xiakhan on your first rolls, probably consider rerolling, because he, I think, would make the early game very difficult. That having been said, FC Xiakhan, on the other hand, is, in my opinion, noticeably better than regular Xiakhan, in that his passive has a couple new elements, namely Awakening Blue Dragon's Descent, which increases his own block by 360, decreases critical hit by 180, and also increases attack speed by 25 and grants him damage immunity for 4 turns when his HP is below 30%. And so, what does this really mean? The reason why I think he's better is his block is increased by 360, which gives him a little bit of that tanky defender-esque style that he is supposed to be, but the most important part is it decreases his critical hit by 180, and this is critical hit chance. Now, this, combined with the Decimate passive that he has, means it doesn't really matter, right? The minus 180 crit, it doesn't do anything because he gets guaranteed critical hits if he's with Rachel, and if Rachel can get the Disheartened debuff on their enemies. And so, speaking of Disheartened, why don't we take a quick look at how exactly Rachel procs that? Alright, so Rachel is who Xiakhan really, really depends on to get that Disheartened synergy so he gets those guaranteed crits. And the way that Disheartened works is it afflicts enemies with lower attack than Rachel with the Disheartened mark and decreases their dodge by 50 and defense by 20. And so Rachel, being an attack type hero, is going to be able to take full advantage of this in most situations. So if you end up getting Rachel and Xiakhan together, I think it's worth keeping both of them, but Xiakhan by himself, maybe not as strong. Now, you may be thinking, wow, Xiakhan isn't that great of a hero, and if you read his hero story, you'd be correct. From his art, you get the impression that he's kind of arrogant, and his lore states exactly that. Maybe that's why he just tries to crit the backline instead of protecting his team. Anyways, that's it for us today. If you have a different take on Xiakhan, if you think he's super good for whatever reason, do let us know in the comments. And to see more reviews of Exo Heroes, check out our other content. If you like this video, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time.
Alright, see you guys.